Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Oh, isn't it good to be here this morning? Yeah. Okay, now for those of you who heard that I would be channeling Lady Gaga this morning, I will. But minus the meat dress, okay? I had all great intentions, okay, of wearing my meat dress today. I guess the problem is that you don't leave a meat dress in a room all night with a woman who's been on a diet for 2 years. Not a good idea at all. When I woke up this morning, it was still intact, but there were some little bite-sized places that we probably wouldn't feel were appropriate for church, okay? So anyway, Lady Gaga minus the meat dress this morning, all right? So I want to start by telling you something that Lady Gaga told me. She said, "My mama told me when I was young, we are born as superstars." Wow. Did you hear that? We are born as superstars. Did you feel the energy? Did you see what happened? Just in that memory. And I want to base this whole lesson around those words. We are born as superstars. I was really moved by Lady Gaga. I better do something here because the meat dress won't be the only thing we're talking about. I was really moved by her lesson. By her message. She's quite a phenomenal person, and I'm grateful that she has a platform today, especially not just for us, people like us who need to constantly have to have that positive reinforcement, but also for our youth who we want to have that positive reinforcement all the time. Positive reinforcement in the areas of peer pressure that they might be going through, teasing and bullying, things like that. And sometimes even negative comments from adults who just don't know any better. So I was listening to this song, "I Was Born This Way," which is my topic this morning, and online, and they had the song playing in the background with various quotes from Lady Gaga. And I just want to share with you some of the things that she said. It's very powerful. She said, I call them Gaga-isms. Okay, she said, you should always remember that you're something special. She said, her mission has been to liberate her fans and let them know that they can create their own space in the world. She said, I want you to free yourself. I want you to let go of anyone or anything that has ever made you feel like you don't belong. Oh, man. Isn't that wonderful? Anyone or anything that has ever made you feel like you don't belong. I want my fans to love themselves. If I could, just for a moment, inspire you to love yourself, that would be worth everything, she said. Everything. She said, never forget that you're beautiful, no matter what others say. She said, don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough. You can be whoever you want to be. She said, God makes no mistakes. And then this is my favorite. She said, I've always been famous, just nobody knew about it. Fame, she said, is on the inside. It's not on the outside. See? So you can really tell this person really has a beautiful consciousness. And so that's what I want to talk about this morning. I want to talk about the inside me and the inside you. Okay? And I've always been pretty satisfied with the outside me. Other than plus or minus a pound or 2 or 20 or 50 or 100. I've always been pretty satisfied, comfortable with myself. And by that I mean I've never wished that I was anybody else. Never did. Never wished that I was any taller or any shorter. Never wished that I was more endowed in any way than I am. Never did. Never wished that I was another gender, another color. Nothing wrong with any of that, but I just never did. Never wished I had more or less education. And I've never been jealous of anyone because of anything that they have. Because whatever it is that they have, it tells me that I can have it too. It's just a reminder. If they have it, I can have it. So why would I spend any time being jealous of that? I remember years ago, one of the guys that I used to work with at Coherent invited my husband and I to his home in Black Hawk. And while we were there, we had lunch at the country club, and it was wonderful. And he drove us around the neighborhood, and he was pointing out all the homes of all the CEOs in Silicon Valley. And then we got to one house, and he said, that's John Madden's house. John Madden, the sports announcer. And there was a house, an identical house to it right next door. He said, that's his house too. He says he uses that one with he and his wife, and he has that one for his children when they come to visit. Okay? And I thought to myself, isn't that fascinating? That somebody has a consciousness big enough to recognize I don't have to stop with one, I can have more than one. And like I said, as we drove around, it was really wonderful because it showed me what was possible for me if I wanted to move in that area. So I never felt like anybody or anything was withholding anything from me. Because the universe can't do that, can it? And I knew that even before I came to Science of Mind. That nothing could be withheld. I've never felt like a victim. I've always felt like anything I can see that, even if it feels like it's missing in my world, it's telling me that you can demonstrate this, Dar. This is here for you, Dar. This is here for you to see and to pay attention to it, to know that it's available to you right now. So I've always been accepting pretty much of my physical self. But this morning I want to talk about this spiritual self. See, because I think this is an area where I need some work. I think this is an area maybe a lot of us might need some work in, where we begin to accept our spiritual self, to begin to accept ourselves as a superstar. How many of you can do that right now? How many of you can say, I'm a superstar? Let me hear it. I'm a superstar. I was born this way. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. How did that feel? Yeah, exactly. And for many of us, did it just lift us up a little bit from where we may have walked in this morning? Lifted us up to a consciousness that was a little bit higher than maybe when we walked through the doors? I'm a superstar, and I was born this way. Wow. So that's really where we begin to move into accepting our spiritual self, where our identity expands. Not only does our identity expand, our world expands, where we begin to believe that more is possible, not just with us, but in our world as well. See, I'm talking this morning about stretching that consciousness, expanding that consciousness to a place where it hasn't been before. To a place where it may be even uncomfortable to be right now. But to recognize that stretching is necessary. It's a necessity if I want to move forward in my life. See? And to recognize that any quality in my life that appears to be missing, love, light, power, peace, joy, prosperity, freedom, health, wholeness, wisdom, harmony, anything that appears to be missing, the only reason that it appears to be missing is because we don't recognize our oneness with it, which is what Bev and Greg were telling us about this morning in their opening song. I am that, which is what Bobby was telling us about in her opening treatment this morning. I am that. Maybe we've forgotten. I am that. That quality is already here. I was born this way. But to even affirm that, we have to stop. We have to come off of automatic pilot long enough to stop thinking that whatever it is that we desire or need is missing and realize it has to be here. If God is here, then that quality has to be here. Because everything that I name, those attributes of God, have to be omnipresent. And if they're omnipresent, they have to be here. So that's when we be still and know that whatever I'm seeking, it's got to be here right now. Be still and know, as Jesus told us, that the kingdom of heaven is at hand right now. He said, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. What does repent mean? Change your mind. It's got to be here. It's got to be here, and it's got to be here now. Okay, so that's what we're opening with. We want to accept, as Lady Gaga told us in her wonderful words, that whatever it is that I'm calling for has to be here, even if it's not visible yet. So this morning I want us to contemplate the self that transcends the physical, that transcends our physical self, going deeper, going higher. Going deeper, going higher. And I want that to be the thing that you remind yourself of. Every time you think something is missing, every time things are not going the way that you think they need to be going, remind yourself, go deeper, go higher, go deeper, go higher. See, because if it's done unto us as we believe, and if we can only experience what we believe is possible, and if right now our lives consist of what it is that we believe is possible, then it stands to reason that if we want to experience more, we have to believe more. Go deeper, go higher. Go higher than this experience that I'm moving through right now. Go higher than this experience that you're moving through right now. See, notice I didn't say we have to know about more, because we know about far more than what we're demonstrating right now. We have to accept more of what it is that we know about. See? So I had a great week this week. I just had the most amazing week. I have been experiencing a week of deep peace. I've been reading Dr. Wayne Dyer's new book, Wishes Fulfilled. And from the very first word of the book, it just took me into such a deep state of peace. And I think maybe this is Dyer at his best, or maybe I should say at his best yet, because there's always better to come. But you can tell in reading the book, and I'm going to share some quotes with you this morning from his book, you can tell that he has moved in consciousness. He has moved to a place that is deeper and higher. Exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And in his book, what he's doing is he's explaining to us the various levels of consciousness. He explains to us that about our lower self, which is our ego-driven physical self. And then he talks about our higher self, where we begin to recognize the God within. And then he talks about our highest self, where we begin to realize what Jesus was saying to us when he said, "Don't you know that you are God's? Know ye not that ye are God's," he says. So this is really going up. He's opening us up to a realization that where we are right now isn't the be-all and end-all of our experience. He tells us in his book, he says, in order to fulfill higher desires, we must enter into a higher region of consciousness. Gotta go higher. Gotta go higher. In other words, we have to rise to a level in consciousness, a reality that will support what it is that we desire to demonstrate. Doesn't that make perfect sense? See, because if our level of consciousness would support what it is that we are ready to demonstrate, it would be in our lives right now. There's the clue. Go deeper. Go higher. He said, I'm saying as clearly as I know how to say in these pages, there is a plane of awareness that you can opt to live at, wherein you can, if you are willing, to change your concept of yourself as an ordinary being. Find yourself fulfilling any and all wishes that you have for yourself. It begins with changing your self-concept. And he goes on to tell us that your self-concept is everything you believe to be true. So Gaga is telling us that we're superstars, and Dyer is telling us that we need to go beyond ordinary to extraordinary. Sound like a similar message here? Yeah, it is. It's very, very similar. Beyond ordinary to extraordinary. So he's saying if we want to go beyond ordinary, we have to go higher. Have to go to a higher place. We have to go to a place where that desire can be supported by our consciousness. Now, here's the tricky part, because in that higher place, we have to believe that things are possible that we don't believe are possible right now. See? So what would that look like? How would that look? Believing that something is possible that we don't, or that we may not believe is possible right now. I don't want to make it absolute. Well, one of the things that we could do first and foremost is to begin to challenge some of the beliefs that we have about illnesses. You know, we have beliefs that, you know, if you get a certain or a specific serious illnesses, you probably won't make it for very long. You're going to probably die. So maybe first and foremost, we want to start challenging a belief like that. What if we move to a level of consciousness where we could actually embrace an idea where we said, this too shall pass?